Hey guys, how are you? It's me, Katherine Oster, and I am back in Saskatchewan, Canada today. And it is a beautiful, beautiful day outside. I mean, as you can see behind me, behind me up in the sky, blue skies. The sunshine is just amazing. And how does it get any better than this? Now, I would totally be up on my deck today, but it is windy. It's windy up there. And I couldn't find a really good place up there to be out of the wind. But I didn't want to be in the house because I'm in the house a lot in the winter. I wanted to be outside. So I came and found a little spot, the stairs to the deck. And so it's not windy on this side of the house. So this is where we are. I didn't bring my coffee with me. I'm actually not having a coffee right now anyway, but yeah. So I'm home from Costa Rica, and Costa Rica was so amazing. Oh my gosh, the resort we stayed at was amazing. I mean, I think Lori and I talked about it on our chat last week. Yeah, it was so like luxurious and it was so luscious. Hi, Megan! Oh my God, sending you hugs, hugging you. Oh my gosh, how are you? How are you? How are you? How are you? Where are you right now? Post in the comments. I want to know. Um, yeah, Costa Rica, it was just luscious and delicious, and the resort we stayed at, like they looked after you, and it was a whole invitation to receiving from the resort and receiving from the earth. Like it's just this whole thing that there's not a lot of words for. That was so amazing. And so I arrived back home now I use that word again, back home. Now, that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. Hey, Bobby. So going to this class, being in Costa Rica, I really noticed, I mean, I was just being in this space of ease. Oops, a board just fell down. The wind blew it over. Being in this space of ease, joy, and glory, and having so much fun and receiving. And I mean, it was just this really amazing space. And now it's windy here because my board blew over. Anyway, I think it's all right. Um, and so coming home, like what often people will ask in classes, well, I'm going back home now. I mean, back home, I have to do the laundry. Back home, I'm cooking. Back home, I'm cleaning. Back home, I have my kids. Back home. And it's like, okay, so what if you didn't actually go back home? What if you didn't go back at all? What are you moving forward into? And what can you ask for and be differently that you were being when you were on a holiday or being when you were at the class? How can you pull that energy into your everyday life? And yeah, so I noticed it is I was texting Crystal Crawford, a gal that I work for in her business. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to be back home now and da da da, I can do all these things. And she just replied, I love that you're going forward. And I started laughing. I'm like, oh, thank you for pointing out that I was using that word. Thank you. So what I've noticed since being at home is, I mean, one thing I know is there's no place like home, and I love it here. In this moment, I don't know that I would choose to live anywhere else in the world because I really do love Saskatchewan, and our farm is so amazing. Megan, this is perfect for me. I was in Florida this past week. I know, back home. Awesome. Okay. So, I love coming home. I mean, home is amazing and I'm always excited. Like I love going on adventures and I love coming home. And so I arrived back home Saturday evening. And so we're in the the kids are excited to see me. I'm excited to see the kids. Travis, my husband, is excited to see me. I'm excited to see him. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And then Sunday, it was cool. I mean, we were getting stuff done. Travis was doing his thing. Everything was cool. Monday, today's Wednesday, Monday I started noticing where I was going back to the dance that I have with Travis, to our dance of things that I am with him. I noticed that on Monday, and with the kids too, that I was kind of energetically, they are a certain way with me, and then I'm a certain way with them because that's what we do. And I also get that they project and expect me to be that way energetically. They're like thinking in their, maybe they're not even thinking in their head, but energetically they're like, oh, well, if I do this, this is what mom does, you know? And I was really noticing those moments where I'm like, huh, there's this old familiar feeling, this dance that I know, and it's showing up. But I didn't do this at all when I was in Costa Rica with anybody. So, you know, do I want to choose this anymore? Like, is this actually working for me? No, it's not. So then, so I don't really, I would just ask the question of, if I was going to dance a different dance, or what else could I actually choose here? What would work? What would be a different choice? And what would that create? And so I've, yeah, like that. So one really clear example that I can give you is Travis. I've been talking about going on a holiday, the four of us, Travis and me and the kids, this past winter. The kids really want to go to the ocean, and I think that would be lots of fun. So I was looking at booking a holiday for February or March. And I said to Travis, I'm like, well, since we're going on a holiday, we probably don't have to do a big extravagant Christmas for the kids. You know, like, we don't have to get them anything super huge. We can, you know, give them their plane tickets or something. And I know that's still corny, but whatever. And Travis is like, oh, yeah, yeah. And he's like, one thing I know that we should get for Trace is a new iPad, because he has actually had the same iPad for, I think it's the very first one we ever got him when he was, I don't know, maybe 4. So he's had it for like 5 years. And I'm like, yeah, we could do that. And then Travis made the suggestion of, well, and then you can use his old iPad. And I'm like, the first thing I went to was, no, that's silly. I mean, why would I use his old iPad? I don't need it. Um, we'll just sell it or something like that. And then he looked at me and he was like, and he didn't even, like, I was amazed that he said this in a way that didn't actually trigger me. He looked at me and he was like, every time I suggest something, you always make it wrong, or you always suggest the total opposite. And I'm like, you're right. Like, I had this whole like aha moment. I'm like, you're right. I actually do always do that to you. Wow, that's really interesting. Um, you know, and whatever he suggests, I always am like, no, we're not doing that. Like, always, no matter what it is. Because then after, I'm like, well, actually, Trace's iPad would work really cool for me to read my Kindle books on, because it's an iPad mini. So it's not as big as a regular iPad, and it's bigger than my phone. And he was like, yeah, see, it would be a good idea. And I'm like, you're right. That would actually be a good idea. So I really noticed like that. And I'm like, wow, cool. Well, I would really like to change that, because he actually does have good ideas. And what if I actually considered it? And then I looked at, like, when I was in Costa Rica, I traveled with my friend Lori. You guys met her last week. And I'm like, she would make suggestions of things that we could do. And I would actually never make her wrong, or never, you know, refuse. We would always just ask a question around it. Or I would just, like, I wasn't so resistant and reactant to her. And I'm like, that's really interesting. I wonder what it would create if I was more of that with Travis, like more space with him, instead of just my knee-jerk instant reaction is no, or resisting, you know? So that was really cool. And I didn't actually get really annoyed and frustrated with him when he said that to me. So I'm like, cool. What else is possible? So I really noticed that that was our dance. Like, that was how I danced with him energetically, was always resisting and reacting to what he suggested or what he said. And now I'm like, cool. What other dance can we dance? And how else could I be with him that would actually include him? And then I started noticing another thing today. So the kids are back in school now. They went back yesterday. Yay! And I've noticed this morning they get on the bus about 7:30. So I take about 7:30 to 8:30, like an hour before I go out and do my horses in the mornings to just kind of catch up on the computer, do some banking online, reply to some emails. Like it's kind of my thing that I do. And Travis was around the house this morning for my time, and he was asking me questions, and he was being an energy with me that I wanted to resist and react to again. And there wasn't anything that he said. I mean, he was just trying to have a conversation with me. And I noticed that I wanted to go into my structure. I wanted to go into my structure of what I thought I should be doing, which was, emails and bills and whatever. And it's like, and he was trying to engage in a conversation with me. And I'm like, wow. And I was really resisting letting go of my structure and actually talking to him. And I just noticed that. And I'm like, wow, like, he wants to talk to me before he goes away out on his day. And oftentimes I'm actually the only person, I forget this, I'm the only person he sees in the daytime. Like I talk to other people, I'm engaging with you guys right now, or when I work at the store, I see other people, throughout the day I teach writing lessons. So I'm engaging with other people a lot more. And often I'm actually the only person he talks to in a day. So he was like tugging energetically on me to engage with me. And I was resisting it because, again, that's like my first thing that I do with him is I resist it. And so normally it would have like triggered maybe an argument or something, but I really noticed it. And I'm like, this is the familiar way that I am with him. Like, this is what I know. I like hanging on to my structure and I like resisting him. And because that's what I do. That's what I choose all the time. So I'm like, what if I actually took and I just kind of started having this conversation in my head with myself while he's, talking to me and I'm trying to do this thing of like, well, I actually have the rest of the day to finish. Like, I don't really have to do this right now. For some reason, I decided I should. Maybe right now it would create the greatest for me to just be present with him and engage with him for like 20 minutes before he leaves to go spray some crops for the day. Like, what would that create? And it actually got so much more space. We had an ease together, and I actually enjoyed my conversation with him. And I've already finished my other stuff. Everything else kind of just fell into place. There was no like energetic force. So it's just been really loud in my face of how I used to be with all of my things in my day, the structure that I used to have, my reactions, even more. And yes, I have changed like so much of that up until now already. And when we go to a class or when we start demanding to change something in our lives, and what I've been asking for is just so much more joy in everything and more ease and more fun and more adventure. When you're asking for something different, when you're asking for that, whatever you have in place in your life right now that is keeping you from having that starts to show up in a more louder way. And then you now have the choice to either change that, to choose beyond it, or to keep dancing the same dance that you've always danced. Even though you would say that it's not creating what you want to create, but it's a dance that you know what happens when you take this step. You know it. And we keep doing that until we're bored or we really demand to change something. And that's okay. You're not wrong for it. And it's cool. So I've just really noticed that, the last couple of days, and it's been really interesting and cool. And the other cool thing is I've been noticing where I can actually make a different choice to be different. Like, it's not even about doing anything. It's not about doing anything. I don't need to do anything different with them. I just need to be different. Like, I'm just being different. And it's just about asking a question. I don't have to try to do kindness. It's just like, what else can I choose here? And just knowing that you have another choice. So that's really cool. So that's what I've been playing with. That's what's up for me. So thank you so much for watching this, you guys. And as far as stuff coming up, I mean, we've got harvest coming up around the corner. I think next week I'll be in the tractor, and I was actually kind of playing with just doing some maybe fun Facebook lives from the tractor, just randomly, I don't know, talking about farming and driving a tractor. If yeah, and just it would be fun, and maybe in my Create Life Worth Living group, maybe that's what we'll start doing. So if you guys would like to see me more and more in the tractor, let me know and we can totally do that. So yeah, have an awesome rest of your day. We will see you guys later. Bye bye for now. And thank you. Thank you for you. Thank you for being. And don't forget to smile. Bye bye.